Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I'm Damian Hill. With me, as always, is TJ O'Connor. Tonight, we are joined by bellator heavyweight Timothy Johnson, who just came off of a really big win against Matt Mitrione in the very first round at Bellator 243. But before we get into that, Trash Talk is brought to you again by our sponsors, Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Shrinks Tattoo out of New Brighton, Minnesota, Origin Wellness CBD, the Striking Institute, Spartan Martial Arts, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, The Fighters, and TJ's mom. How are you doing tonight, Tim?
Doing good. Just kind of relaxing and rehydrating now.
Yeah. Well, you just mentioned that you just got done with a pretty good practice. How's that going? Jumping right back into training and everything.
It's going pretty good. Obviously, my fight with Mitrione, I didn't really take any damage, so I just kind of right back on the horse again, and hopefully, if things work out, I'll be fighting again here in September.
Yeah. Do you have or have they mentioned any opponents, or are you just looking to kind of just still climb the ranks?
Yeah, they got an opponent. We got verbally, nothing's signed yet, contract-wise. I can't announce anything yet, but yeah, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a fight in September.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad for the quick turnaround, especially taking no damage. The finger's doing all right though.
Yeah, that it is. The only thing I hurt was my thumb.
Oh man. Sorry, TJ. I just want to say this. I'm like, it's hard to. I mean, when you're going into a fight to walk out with no injuries, but if the worst thing that happened is just a jammed thumb, I'm like, fuck yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, I know. Usually a lot of my fights don't usually end up that way. Usually I take a pretty good beating, whether I win or lose. So it's kind of nice to just kind of walk in for my last couple fights, just kind of take care of business, walk out unscathed. I'm like, shit, why have I been doing this for years? It's way easier.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was gonna say. If you leave a fight and the worst thing that happens is your hands hurt from winning, I mean that's a pretty good night if you ask me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't think you're gonna find anyone complaining about that.
Oh, is it one of those things like because your last two fights were both first round finishes, TKO, devastating fashion, and against guys that, I mean, people were expecting you to lose to your last two fights, and you go out there and finish in dominating fashion both times. Is it something that you just feel like you putting together later on now, or do you feel like you've always had this power and you're just now finally able to display it?
Probably a little bit of both. I think only, once I signed with my first UFC fight was like in 2015, and since then I think I've only been favorited once. I've always been expecting. Everyone's always expecting me to lose. So from that point of view, I'm used to that. No one expects much from me. But I'm a heavyweight and I'm 35. So I mean, maybe I'm finally coming in my own a little bit. I really didn't start taking fighting seriously until I was like in my early 30s. So maybe I'm just finally finding my groove in my mid-fight career. 35 is kind of the tail end for a lot of weight classes, but heavyweight's kind of middle-aged.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to mention is you say you're 35, but if you look at, you go pull up the top-ranked heavyweights in the world, that's a pretty median age. There's going to be a lot of guys that are older than that at that age. Does that give you more confidence knowing, like you said, you've been doing this for a long time, but, knowing like, okay, now I'm starting to come into my own and I still have time ahead of me, it seems.
Yeah, definitely. My fight against Tyrell, my back was definitely against the wall on that. It doesn't matter, like the two losses I took, doesn't matter who I was fighting. It was still two very embarrassing losses in the first round fashion. If I lose that fight against Tyrell, even if I win it, not like an exciting fashion, I'm probably not even resigned. And here I am, that's look at the sport of MMA. Almost on my way out back on the regional scene. Now I'm, potentially a fight away from a title fight.
Yes, that's what we were going to get into too. Because with two big finishes like that in the first round over big name guys, and kind of putting yourself right up into the title talks. How many fights do you feel like you could be away from it? And I kind of blanked on what I was telling TJ earlier. I had it so articulate and everything, but I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, honestly, well, if this fight materializes, I think I'm one fight away. Mitrione was, he was in the semifinals of the tournament. So I mean, technically, he was the top four heavyweight in Bellator. I mean, if you want to go with that route, because he was one fight away from the championship of fighting Fedor instead of Bader. So yeah, I think right now I'm got to be in that top four, top three. And if the name develops that I want, then yeah, I get a win. Pull out another. I guess what I don't consider a miracle, but everyone else thinks is a miracle that I'm winning. But if I pull another miracle, then I think I'm one fight away.
One of the things it's so crazy about MMA is the ups and downs that people suffer. Taking two losses and then coming off and getting these two dominant wins. Did you see yourself in this position to be in a title run even just 2 years ago, a year ago?
When I signed with Bellator, like recently, like I had goals and aspirations. I'm like, all right, well, this is, I won't say so much a step down in competition. I mean, there's a lot. They have like 3-4 heavyweights that are definitely be in the top 8 in the UFC with ease. Like it's not, but the road to get there might be easier. You don't have to take as many fights to maybe reach that pinnacle. I've done a couple interviews and kind of came to light. I just kind of spoke on it. I'm like, maybe it's true. It doesn't matter what job if you're a fighter, a football player, or if you're working a packing plant or any kind of job. People, once you're in year 5, 6, you kind of get a lull. Like, you kind of where you're just showing up. You're not really got a fire. And it takes something to motivate you. I think I just got remotivated.
Yeah. Well, are you able to determine like what exactly it was, or like when it happened where that second resurgence of motivation came?
I didn't want to. I was tired of being ragdolled and being just everyone's punching bag. Basically, I was like, no, this isn't me. I'm way better than this. I was basically accepting the role of what people are perceiving me as. That's. I think it's kind of easy. You can fall into that, listen to shit. But no, it was just kind of like, I'm sick of that. If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna freaking go back at it and try to give it my all.
Yeah,
that just reminds me of me and my cousin growing up, because I used to beat up my cousin all of the time. He's a year younger than me, messing with him all the time. One day, he literally just said, "No, not anymore." I've never beaten him in a fight since. So yeah.
It's mental. It's just like anything else. It's all mental.
Yeah. Like you said, from the person, they look at fighting, you see such a physical thing, but it's all mental, and you make those adjustments. And I mean, we've talked about it a couple of times now, but in the doom of gloom, which is 2020, at least professionally, I mean, it couldn't have been a better year for you. And in a sport like MMA, which is such a what have you done for me lately sport. We talk about the big win in February against Tyrell Fortune, who might not be a name that everybody's heard of, but I mean, if you look him up, his wrestling credentials probably takes 2 pages. And then you got Matt Mitrione, who is a huge name, and you get that win as well. With Bellator, I mean, with Bader having both belts, and he's fighting tomorrow or this weekend.
This weekend, yep.
You'd think, you got 3 or 4 months realistically before he'd fight again, and hopefully he'd defend the heavyweight belt. Having that fight in September, do you think that's a real prime time to make, like you said, another statement, shock the world again, and really show, like, no, I am next for that belt. Let me get that fight.
Yeah, more than anything, if this fight materializes, it's not a fight against the opponent. This is going to be a fight against myself. It's win or lose. Like I already know, I can't really throw it out there, but win or lose or draw, I just want to put on a good performance. For my previous two performances, my back-to-back losses, I was, woke up the next day, then I really started thinking about it. I was pretty disgusted with myself. As long as I can go out and fucking throw on a decent fight that I'm proud of. If I win, that's great. If I lose, it's going to suck. But as long as I'm happy with myself, then, it's moving forward.
Man, hell yeah. I love it. I cannot wait to see this fight in September. And I'm going to be sitting there patiently waiting every single day to see who the opponent is. Because now I'm just sitting on the edge of my seat. I'm really curious. And, man, this has been quite the journey. I mean, all of the local regional scene, getting signed to the UFC, and then now in Bellator. I mean, has your career, everybody wants to be undefeated and retire world champion, right? But Has your career gone pretty much the way that you thought it would, or could you? I mean, crap. How did I want to wrap that up?
I get what you're saying. No, it went better. Like you gotta think when I just fell into fighting. Like I took my first fight, my first, like, I didn't even do amateur. Like, I went into the practice room because a bunch of area heavyweights, I got done wrestling at Moorhead, and a bunch of area heavyweights wanted a body. They're like, hey, you don't have to fight. Just come in and wrestle with us. I'm like, okay, well, I still want to do something, stay active. Went in there. 6 weeks later, I took my first professional fight. Still didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Then, then I went, all I did was wrestle. I didn't really train the right way. And then I got deployed, and I came back from deployment, and I'm like, well, let's get this fighting thing a little bit of, so probably like 2013, I actually started training, like, boxing and everything else. So I've only been training MMA for 7 years. So, and then, kind of everything, I just kept winning. And I remember, like, before my fight with, I can't remember who was with, it was like my fight before Travis Dew. People were asking me, what would you like? I'm like, honestly, if I could be a gatekeeper in Bellator, I think that'd be pretty good. And that was back then. And then, like 3 months later, I'm signed to UFC, and I don't even know how to throw a fucking punch yet. I'm going, what the hell am I doing in the UFC? I can't even throw a combination. And so you could tell that first fight, I was just getting lit up on my feet by Shamil Abedhirov. I can't even pronounce his last name. And luckily, he threw a kick, and I was able to take him down because I was a fish out of water for a while there. And I just started developing positives and negatives in my career, but now I just kind of feel a little more comfortable with everything as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm loving the second resurgence of yourself, the confidence, and I mean the finishing of people as well. The 2 TKOs, just amazing, And I mean, I can't wait to see what's next for you. I guess before we start to wrap this up, is there any teammates, sponsors, or anybody you'd like to thank or give a special shout out to? And any fans that anything you'd like to say to the fans to continue watching this second resurgence of your career?
I still affiliated with the Academy of Combat Arts up there in Fargo. Dylan Spicer, he's still my head coach. They're the ones that kind of molded me a little bit. Everyone out here at Extreme Couture, all the teammates here. I mean, it's a heavyweight. There's all kinds of heavyweights out here. It's great. It's and they're all great at something different. So it depends on whatever you want to work. You got someone here. I will say, getting punched by Francis Ngannou in the practice room makes fighting a lot easier, because I'm like, getting punched by someone in a real fight is easier than getting punched with Francis during the practice. Yeah. So mentally, I'm like, I'm good. I get hit harder in the practice room. I'm good.
Guy that keeps windmills going by shadow boxing.
Yeah, it's nuts. How much torque he's got. And everyone out here at Extreme Couture, H9 Nutrition out of Fargo, and it just I got a couple more sponsors. I got Texas Oil Group. They're veteran ran. They met them at a veteran meet and greet thing, so it's kind of nice to get a little love on the side. I try not to use my me being a veteran to get ahead. I feel that's kind of dirty. Like I don't promote it too much. And I think that's all I can think on the top of my head. But I get hit in the head quite a bit, so I don't know.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the time. Like I said, I can't wait to see what's next. I can't wait to have you back on the show again. And man, I'm excited. I can't wait to see who you're fighting. And I guess true professional, but not accidentally slipping up too. So
yeah. I'll have to throw out a little bit of teaser here. Hopefully by the end of the week, I'm guessing they'll probably announce it fight night for this for Baiters.
Okay, hell yeah. Well,
yeah.
Much appreciated.
Be sure to reach out to us again. Like I said, once you can break the news, love to talk to you again. Best of luck leading up to this camp, leading up to this fight. Watching the show, like and subscribe below. Trash Talk with Damian and TJ. Do not, I repeat, do not be a hoe.